To live to a ripe old age, choose your ancestors carefully. Valuable advice from the philosopher Bertrand Russell on how to achieve longevity and a happy old age. In my article, I decided to touch on the topic of aging, since at my age this issue becomes particularly important. In an article titled How to Age Properly, I have collected tips that I actively use myself. This was the introduction of the English philosopher Bertrand Russell to one of his articles. Bertrand Russell not only identified the key reason for longevity and shared the secrets of maintaining youth, but also pointed out 3 main dangers that must be avoided in old age: the main reason for longevity and the amazing secret of preserving youth. Bertrand Russell, the famous philosopher, lived 97 years, inspiring admiration for his longevity. When asked about the secrets of such a long life, he usually said that he could hardly be useful in this matter. "I have my own bad habits," Russell confessed with a smile. "I eat whatever I like and go to bed when I can no longer stand on my feet from fatigue. I have never been engaged in conscious health promotion, but I have never done anything that could harm my body." He believed that the main determinant of a long life is heredity. According to Russell, it is genetics that plays a crucial role in how many years a person will live. "My mother died of diphtheria when I was 4 years old, and after a while my father left after a long and debilitating illness. Nevertheless, my paternal grandparents lived for about 80 years, and the same was true of many distant relatives who lived to a ripe old age. The only exception was a relative whose death was violent," Russell recalled. After the loss of his parents, Bertrand was placed in the care of his maternal grandmother, who had a great influence on him. She taught him many valuable life lessons, including how to enjoy old age without noticing you're aging. "My grandmother gave birth to 9 children and had 72 grandchildren. She often told me a story that happened to her during her trip to Italy," the philosopher recalled. One day, Russell's grandmother noticed an elderly Italian man with such a sad look that he seemed to be struck by some serious trouble. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she went up to him to find out what had upset him so much. "I have just been separated from my 2 grandchildren who spent several weeks in my house," the Italian confessed sadly. "I have 72 grandchildren. If I were sad every time I leave them, my old age would turn into endless suffering," Bertrand's grandmother replied indignantly. The Italian, hearing her words, called her heartless. Russell, remembering this story, always said that he appreciated his grandmother's recipe much more than the sad thoughts of this elderly man. "When my grandmother was over 90, she began to suffer from insomnia, and in order not to waste time, she spent every night from midnight to 3 in the morning reading popular science literature. I'm sure she just didn't have time to pay attention to her aging. This, in my opinion, is the best recipe for preserving youth. When you have a lot of exciting things to do and you feel useful, you just don't have time to think about the years you've lived or worry about how much time is left ahead. The main threats in old age." In his article, How to Grow Old, Bertrand Russell identifies 3 main dangers that should be avoided in old age. In his opinion, understanding these risks allows a person to achieve a prosperous and happy old age without sinking into fears and regrets. The first of these dangers is excessive attachment to the past. Russell warned against living with memories of the past, especially of the so-called better times. There's no point in constantly regretting that those days won't come back. Also, you should not get stuck for a long time in sad thoughts about your departed relatives and friends, said the centenarian. The philosopher argued that in order to be truly happy in old age, it is necessary to direct your thoughts to the future, to focus on what can be changed here and now. It's easy to tell yourself that your mind was once sharper, your body more flexible, and the world brighter. Even if that's the case, it's important to forget about it. And if you manage to forget, then most likely your ideas about the past were not true, Russell concluded. The second danger that should be avoided in old age is the desire to hold on to youth, trying to squeeze the remnants of vitality out of it. This is especially true for relationships with adult children. When your child grows up and starts his life, he strives for independence and wants to determine his own path. If you continue to interfere in his life the way it was in his childhood, it can become a burden for him. This does not mean that you need to completely distance yourself from your children's lives. However, your attention should be calm, unobtrusive, and contemplative, Russell emphasized. He also added that it is pointless to try to advise your adult child to avoid mistakes. Firstly, he may not listen to you, and secondly, mistakes are an important part of his life path and experience. A happy old age is easiest to achieve for those who like to do something for nothing because they like it. If there are no such interests, you risk feeling an emptiness in your life, especially if you focus entirely on your grandchildren. It is important to understand that even if you provide financial assistance, your company may not always bring joy to your loved ones, the philosopher explained. The third threat that Bertrand Russell considered important was the fear of death. He noted that the fear of death is especially depressing for the elderly. However, the philosopher was convinced that only young people should be afraid of premature death. And the fear experienced by older people who have already lived a long life and experienced both joy and sorrow, the philosopher called a manifestation of weakness of the spirit. Life can be compared to a river. At the beginning, its flow is stormy and rapid. The channel is narrow and shallow. The river rushes through the rocks and falls in waterfalls. Over time, as it gets wider and deeper, it slows down. This continues until the river flows into the sea. If we accept this metaphor, we will stop fearing the inevitable end, Russell argued. Put 2 leaves of this plant in your socks and your feet will look like 18 years old. They will stop hurting and getting tired. Sometimes our feet start to hurt or get tired quite unexpectedly. It happens that you spend the whole day on your feet, working or walking a lot, and in the evening they just buzz. But it also happens that I didn't do anything special, but my legs still hurt. For some, this may be due to physical exertion, while for others it may be due to problems in the spine, and for some the reason may be emotional stress. Legs, as you know, are strongly related to the internal state, which is why the phrase "legs ache from fatigue" exists. What should I do if the pain is caused not only by physical exertion? How to cope with a condition when it seems that not only the body but also the soul hurts? It is worth remembering that sometimes the legs suffer from so-called spoilage. This may seem strange to those who have not encountered such concepts, but legs can really suffer not only from physical exertion but also from negative energy. Such energy can be directed from the outside. Someone sent bad thoughts or wished you harm. However, it's not always about spoilage. We often create hardships for ourselves. Think about it. How often do you worry, get angry, or offended? How many times a day do you take on other people's problems, help others, forgetting about yourself? All this accumulates and begins to put pressure on the body, especially on the back and legs. Negative emotions, resentments, and fears create a heaviness that is felt not only on a psychological level, but also physically, causing pain in the legs and spine. People rarely realize that pain can be caused by accumulated negativity. They go to doctors, take medications, but forget that it is necessary to unload not only the body, but also to get rid of the emotional burden, and here a simple but effective practice can help. This method allows you to get rid of heaviness and negativity, regardless of whether it appeared from the outside or accumulated inside. For this practice, you will only need 2 geranium leaves, a plant that many people have in their homes. If you don't have any geraniums, they can be easily found. This plant not only decorates the house, but also helps to get rid of negative energy. All you need is to take 2 geranium leaves and mash them slightly so that they release the juice. After that, put 1 piece of paper in the right sock and the second in the left, so that they are under the feet. Then say the words, "Gives me back strength and cleanses me." This ritual is not complicated, but it helps you set yourself up to get rid of negativity. Geranium has long been used as a means of protection from negative energy and for cleansing. It helps to relieve tension and helps to restore inner balance. When the geranium leaves are under your feet, just wear socks as usual. You can do this during the day at home or even at night. It is important to listen to your feelings and imagine how negative energy goes out of you with each step. Your legs will become lighter, as if all the accumulated weight disappears. Worries, stresses, and resentments leave your body through your legs, leaving them free and healthy. During the day, periodically return to these thoughts. Imagine how all the darkness and negativity leave you. This will help not only the physical condition, but also bring emotional relief. It is recommended to repeat this practice 3 days in a row. If you can't do it 3 days in a row, you can do it every other day. The main thing is to have 3 full sessions. During this time, all the negativity will go away and you will feel relieved. The pain and fatigue in the legs will disappear. If everything is done correctly, you will no longer feel pain in your legs. This simple action of geranium will help to restore strength and cleanse the body of accumulated cargo. It may seem that this is too simple or even strange, but do not underestimate the power of nature in such methods. Sometimes you don't need complicated medications or procedures to feel better. It is enough to pay attention to what nature offers us. Geranium is one of the plants that can give you lightness and peace. She offers us many simple but effective ways to restore inner harmony. The main thing is to remember that along with physical actions, you need to work on your inner state. Try to get rid of negative thoughts. Don't take on other people's problems. Don't let resentments and fears linger in your heart. After all this is reflected on your body, on your legs and back. Geranium leaves will help you remove this burden, but it is important to learn not to accumulate it again. Practicing with geranium leaves is not only liberation, but also inner purification. When you imagine how negativity goes through your legs, think about the fact that you will not allow it to return to your life. Tell yourself that you deserve lightness and freedom, that your legs will be strong and your back will be strong and flexible. This is a kind of affirmation that helps not only physically, but also emotionally sets you up for the best. If you feel heavy in your legs or back, try this simple method. Geranium is a plant that is always at hand and can bring real benefits. Take this 3-day course, and you will notice how fatigue disappears, how your legs become lighter, and your steps become freer. It really works if you do it with a sincere belief in positive change. Our physical condition is always related to what we feel and experience. The less negativity in your life, the easier it is for your body. Take care of yourself, take care of your health, and remember that simple methods can be the most effective.